Myself, S.N. Mishra. I am a retired professor and Dean Faculty of Life Sciences from Maharshi Dayananda University, Rohtak, Haryana. And as I am talking about the application of the green technology in war for saving the environment, ecosystem or the earth planet, for that I have talked prior to that about the application of the microbial systems, microbes which are pathogen, their pathogenicity, and they are causing a number of problems into the human, and that is the one way how to neutralize the enemy, and that has been used since long for number of occasions, for number of ways, but this has a certain limitations. So now I'll talk about the limitations and then alternatives for this, what can be used in the war and why it should be used and what is the significance of it. So just I mentioned that what happens with the microbial systems, pathogens like the viruses in this environment, they are getting resistance. The bacterial environmental adaptability, they are also being changed. So they can cause a chain of direct different reactions. The microbes become virulent and likely to be persistent in the ecosystem. So therefore, even they are not very good for the ecosystem or the environment. It can become epidemic, long lasting, that means pandemic. It has no boundary. Hence now the time has reached that higher plants be taken into account, because the now generation is endangered. Application of this conventional war tools, bombs or the fires are the pathogenic kind of war tools. So under any war condition, the release of virus and bacteria, chemicals or the radiological substances with the intent of causing illness or death in a people, animals or plants always pollute ecosystem, because the ecosystems or the environment is not taken into account. Whatever we are using the tools or the firearms or even the microbial systems, they all are causing the pollution to the ecosystem, environment and damaging the whole earth, though it is an infectious disease. So now this has no distinction among the people, even the target people. Normally we are having a target. They don't recognize the borders, they go beyond borders also. So these are the certain limitations. Therefore we have to talk about the green technology application in the war. Moreover, they cannot, the cloud detection, Doppler radar, these are all the systems where we can use to detect it, but still the detection is not that much very fast and possible, though we have a certain applications, certain equipments where we can make out that what kind of their remedy can be, but still it is a problem what I am thinking. So therefore we have to look into the alternative war weapons, because the microbial weapons which are using as a biological weapons, they can keep almost any country under permanent threat, and if it can recur, that we know that the nature of the pathogens, that once they are there they can recur. So there can be a lot of damage. The damage can be recurring, which we don't want to destroy the human civilization from this earth. We want to make this human and humanity to persist for. Hence we have to think of alternatives. So what is alternative? What could be the possibility? So we have to have the higher plants into the consideration for war weapons because of this microbial limitations, because microbes, as I mentioned, they can become a pandemic, they can cross the boundary, and the possibility of affecting the non-target groups also, where even your friends can be damaged while you don't want. Naturally, that is the war conditions. For example, the influenza viruses and the avian viruses, they can cross the boundary and they can affect your friend's country also or your friend's society also. So post-war management will become too tedious and costly for microbial, and therefore we have to have the higher plants as a war tools. So what we can say, the higher plants, apart from giving shadow protection to moving army, this can be used as a weapon in a target regions, and there is no point of having any mechanical detectors or the device to find it out. So prospects for the higher plants as a war tool is better for saving the ecosystem. That's very important. Everybody is talking nowadays to protect the earth climate. Why? So that we can save the humanity. Otherwise, our progeny is endangered. So use of plants is the only looking a very healthy and the better prospects. So looking towards plants seems to be the best possible for the task. So now I'll talk about the certain examples of the plants which can be exploited, and here the biotechnology has come into the picture for developing this green technology for the war condition, so that we can come out from this traditional or the conventional war weapons, bombs or the firearms which are using chemicals, metals and so many things. They are all damaging the earth climate, and the all ecosystem, ecological systems are being damaged. So therefore we have to look for the higher plants. So now what is the possibility of the higher plants? For example, let us take tobacco. It's a very common Nicotiana tobacco. It's a commercially grown nowadays in the whole world, and this plant all parts contain nicotine and annabasine, two alkaloids. As you know that the leaves contains more, and the intensity of this alkaloids that if it is eaten in a huge amount, it can be fatal. It can act as a cardiac poison. It is a psychoactive and addictive. Death because of this tobacco assess 5 million deaths per year, making it most deadly plant in the world. Now my point is, so what the biotechnology can do it? So the biotechnologists and the war technologists or the strategists or the planner, they should come together and can further fortify this plant as a war weapon, because it is widely available. This is a beautiful plant, Nerium oleander. These striking flowers are commonly grown as a hedge and the ornament. But the parts of the plants are deadly and contain lethal cardiac glycosides known as oleandrin and nerin. These two most poisonous compounds contained by this plant, and this can cause the vomiting, diarrhea, erratic pulse, seizures, coma and death. So imagine if this plant has this kind of chemical and compounds. So this chemical compounds, even the compounds coming into the skin touch, they can cause the irritation. So the toxins are so strong that people have become ill after eating the honey made from the bees visited these flowers. So imagine if the honey of these flowers made out of the bees, then it is problem. It can create a problem. So now this can be used as a tool. So can we use as a tool? That is the question, and that is the challenge with us. So toxins are so strong, and simultaneously growing these plants, maintaining these plants, they are not going to harm the environment or the ecosystem on the earth. So oleander poisoning are the challenge to the biotechnologist, what I say, for its exploitation, at least for the desert area fighting war. Like, these plants can be grown into the western also. So can we do the farming of this particular plant there, and there it can be made and it can be applied to the enemy for neutralizing or killing them, or whatever you want to say, or what is the aim of the war. So can the war aim can be fulfilled by this kind of plants? So now you see that this is the very beautiful plant, rosary pea, which is called Abrus precatorius. This plant seed contains a chemical called abrin, and this abrin is extremely deadly. It inhibits the ribosomal protein synthesis. The beauty of this plant that intact seeds doesn't cause any damage, but the moment the seeds are scratched, are broken, are chewed, it can be lethal. And the toxicity level, you can imagine, 3 microgram of the abrin can kill an adult. Imagine, less than an amount of the poison which is standard. accidentally pricking by fingers while working with the seeds can kill the human. So heparin also inhibits the protein synthesis, as I told. So it can cause the organ failure also, as we all know that if the protein synthesis is stopped or retarded by any means, the whole metabolic retardation is possible. So having these plants almost so deadly, so why we can't use this plant in the war, so that we should not harm any kind of climatic condition. We cannot allow any kind of change of the earth climates, which has been developed after so long time, and now everybody is weeping that the climate change is a problem. Climate change is a problem. Warming is there. So from where these are happening? Because of this war condition, and every nook and corner of the world is under the war, you can see. So therefore it is our duty that we must think of certain alternatives. I, as a botanist, I think that why not this plant can be used as a weapon. What I say, the seeds can be used as a guided missile. It's so poisonous. So huge exploitation is possible for this rosary pea through our molecular tools, and we have a sufficient advancement in the molecular biology where the biotechnologists should come into the focus and come into the picture to play with these plants which can be applied for the war. So this is a well-known, everybody plant, everywhere grown, castor bean, Ricinus communis, and we know that this contains the poison ricin. A very small amount can be deadly. It is said that the 2 seeds can kill a child, and up to 8 seeds can kill an adult. So ricin also inhibits the synthesis of the protein. Maybe the process of the changing the biological system in the human is the protein, probably. Many more effects are possible. It can cause the severe vomiting, diarrhea, seizures, and even death. This is not the first case what I am talking where the biotechnologist has to use it, but this ricin poison is used in 1978 to assassinate the George Markrow, a journalist, and its most fatalities are the result of the accidental ingestion of the children and the pest. In any case, if any child can take it, that can create a problem. So if this plant is widely known, so why not we have to think, why not the biotechnologist has to come upon this castor bean or the ricin to work out for the war tools, for the any target group, without hampering the environment. Okay, the another plant, I can give you the white snake root, Azadirachta alticemia. This is responsible for the, there is a story. This plant is used for causing a death to Abraham Lincoln's mother, Nancy Hanks, by consuming a milk of cow fed on this plant. You see, North American herb clusters with small white flowers. It is growing throughout America. Maybe it was very much available to the grazing cow, and therefore the cow milk was taken by the Nancy Hanks, and it caused a death. That's the one possibility. Means this plant has also a kind of toxic alcohol which is called trimetol. So now this trimetol going into the cow milk or even the meat if the cow is grazing. So this toxin can be transmitted to the human also simply by milk poisoning, and this milk poisoning can lead to the appetite loss, nausea, weakness, or any kind of abdominal discomfort, abnormal acidity of the blood, and once the abnormal acidity of the blood is taking place, it can cause a death. So again here I have to tell that the biotechnologists target maybe trimetol, enhancing this plant product for a feed of cattle and meat or flesh for the enemy, and that can be the war tool. So why we should not focus on it? That is the point. Well, this name itself is a deadly nightshade. This is Atropa belladonna. Atropa belladonna was used, Macbeth soldiers poisoned the invading Danes with the wine from the sweet fruit. The shiny black berries about the size of the cherry, it contains the atropine and scopolamine in the stem, leaves, berry. All parts of the plant contains this kind of compound and molecule which can cause the paralysis, involuntary paralysis in the muscles including the hurt, and the physical contact with the leaves can cause the skin irritation. So having this kind of quality and property in this plant, again I have to say that the enhancing the product, the molecular yield or the tissue culture of this plant propagation can be exploited in a biology so that it can be used as a war tool. This is the focus, that's why we have to think of the higher plants or the tree. So now next plant is water hemlock, Cicuta aculeata. It is the most dangerous plant and used in killing the Socrates, as people are saying, and it looks like celery. The compound which is toxic is the cicutoxin, which is found in a higher concentration, must be in a root. It can cause the painful convulsion, abdominal cramps, and even it can lead to death also. And the most importantly, if person survive out of it, even that person will be living with the amnesia or their tremors. So it seems to be violently toxic plant in the North America, and the wild flower looks like in a carrot family, almost nickname I call as a Queen Anne's laces. So cicutoxin is potentially fatal. So having this plant, why we should not have a genetic manipulation for the cicutoxin to be exploited further in the large scale under any war condition and without hampering the any kind of environment, any kind of earth damage. The another plant, I'll take an example, that poison ivy, name itself, Toxicodendron radicans. It is called itchy plants. It grows virtually everywhere along the roadsides, as a fences, backyards in USA. Leaves grow in clusters. Every part of the plants contain the compound which is called urushiol. Urushiol causes a notorious rash after the exposure in a few days. And this is the first time in the contact of the plant, symptoms like red skin, swelling and blisters. And the serious itch can appear in a week or two so. So just having a look on this, that what kind of itches or the rashes can appear on this plant leaf. So this plant can be also exploited for any kind of war. This is the poison oak. Again, it is another species, what is called Toxicodendron diversilobum. It is different from the oak tree, but it is like a poison ivy, and poison oak is found again throughout the United States, and it grows in a forest as well as in dry spots like sandy fields. It's a deep green leaf, grow in clusters, yellow flowers, often hairy, its berry is fuzzy. Now every part of the plant contains a urushiol and in all seasons, and this can be also used as a war tool, at least for creating any kind of itch on the rashes on the skin of the enemy. Another plant of the same group, Toxicodendron vernix, it is again found throughout the United States, that contains urushiol like all green in poison ivy and poison oaks, and grows as the shrubs or the small tree in a wet environment near stream banks and ponds or in the wetlands. So this you can say that almost in a wasteland plant, and this wasteland plant, which is growing very easily, can be exploited. This compound leaves almost 7 to 30 greens. These flowers are greenish yellows, berries gray and flattened, and every part of the plant can cause the rashes. So this basically plants which can damage epidermal damage of the body. So this can be also used for wood nettle or stinging nettle, Urtica dioica. Say herbaceous plants, white hairs sting and allergic rash when they are rubbed against. The young leaves covered with the stinging hairs, while older leaves tend to have a fewer of them, often located on the underside of the leaf. The sting from the wood nettle usually subsides within an hour, but some people collect wood nettle for food and salute. It can be used as a great repellent. This can be one way of war tools for the enemy, and disturbing the enemy during the war time, that can be. And therefore this plant can be also considered as a war tool and further exploitation by the biotechnologists. The another plant which is leadwort, Plumbago species. There are a number of Plumbago species which are found. They are mainly tropical shrubs and widely grown in the worldwide. Shiny green leaves turn red in autumn and the 5-petal medium blue flowers. A lovely plant looks can cause again the skin irritation, redness and blistering. So these particular plants can be also used for any kind of arms in the war. The another is the ragweed, Ambrosia species, best known causing for the hay fever or the seasonal allergic rhinitis. It can cause rashes in the people and itchy red streaks on the skin. Even the eye can swell. The flowers grow on the spikes from the top of the plant and elongate over the summer. So these are the plants which can be used as a war tool, and here the biotechnologist has to come into the play, that how these all kind of plants, higher plants which can be exploited for the tool. The another plant, giant wood, just I have to show it that what happens with the hand a person has touched it. So contact with the sap causes serious skin and eye irritation, blistering, scarring and even blindness if the sap gets into the eye, having such a sharp effect on the body. So you can imagine if the enemy comes into the contact of this plant, what will happen. And it is a long lasting scars which can leave on the exposure of the light. Sap is a phototoxic and therefore under the ultraviolet exposure, reaction starts. Although this plant is slightly long, up to 14 feet high, and ridge stems can be 2 to 4 inches in the diameter. And the rashes you can see, the next slides where hand is shown. So this is the kind of problem this giant hogwood can cause. So the conflict and war for human and humanity means why we have to war. War is only to survive human or humanity, or you can say other words, survival of the fittest. We are fighting with others for what? So that we can survive, and we can say that we are the best. But the way it is going on, the conventional way, this will not work, and this is no more tenable. So what I say that maybe time has come that back to basics, means we have to come again back from where we have started, at least for the war. During war in prehistory, plants and its products has been used. So therefore I am talking about back to basic. So now policy makers, thinkers of the world should come together to escape the ardent war states. What is happening today? This condition is not tenable, it's not tangible, it cannot go for long, because ultimately even you two others can fight, it can affect the others also, another side of the earth. So therefore we have to look for the alternative. So having war, the earth ecological conditions be also protected from all kind of damages, and that is very important. That should be taken into mind, and therefore I am talking that why green technology should be applied, and that is only possible when the biotechnologists come together for exploiting all these higher plants instead of using the pathogenic microbes, so that the human races may remain sustained on this planet, because this humanity and this earth has developed on a long duration. It is not one day. Here I would like to quote the Albert Einstein. Long back he has said, I do not know what are the weapons that will be used in Third World War, but if the Fourth World War, if ever to be fought, will be fought by the stones and sticks. So instead of coming on a stone and sticks, it is better that we should come on the green plants can be used as a war tool, war arms, as a calling green tool, because it has a certain significance, certain importance. One, it is commonly widely grown. Even it can be grown in a wasteland, which can be available on the earth on a large scale around the world. And apart from this, it can give the quality employment also for the scientist over the conventional or the microbial pathogenics development for the war. It requires least expenditure. So exchequer will be not also burden on any country or any military or any army. So in case of any territorial defense, can the green bioweapons be used? It should be in focus over the conventional. Yes, because this is the weapon can be eco-friendly. What I was talking in the first module, that the ecosystem must be protected. Otherwise, the humanity will not survive. So as we all know that the plants are not going to damage the environment or the earth planet. So therefore they are eco-friendly without damaging any kind of ecosystem. It can be produced by a biologist, and even simple biological knowledge can be helpful. Could be deployed covertly. It can target the mass destruction also, like the conventional, without any damage to infrastructure. While in the conventional, we are damaging the infrastructure as well as the human population. But while in this case, you will find that it can only damage the population, not the infrastructure. Means your target will be only damaged. Because after all, we have the enmity with the human only, not the earth. Nobody wants to become an enemy of the earth because they want to survive. Without earth, you can't survive. Economically, it is well viable in terms of environment. Calculate the exchequer, how much we are investing on the protection of the environment. Health, many of the countries' health exchequer, huge amount. So this biological maneuvering expenditure will be almost a very negligible amount as compared to the conventional war tools, what is being now used in the world. So what is our duty? Like we inherited this earth from our predecessors, similarly this should be handed over to the progeny. Otherwise, what will happen? If there is no humanity, if there is no human race remains on the earth, then what for war? We can. So I have to thank you all for listening me and thinking about this on a new idea that how much we can use it, because until unless we do that, we cannot save the future for the progeny. So using the green weapons looks the only alternatives where we will be able to save the future for the progeny, even if there is a war condition posed unnecessarily. So again, thank you very much.